This episode is brought to you by Melita Skin. Welcome back to the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. My name is Lydia. I'm your host and an Auckland wedding photographer at Lydia Rachel Photography. I'm so excited to share today's episode with you. I have to say though, we recorded this a little while ago and I was coming off the back of a cold, so I do sound a bit more nasally than usual. So I apologize for that, but yeah, hopefully it's not too distracting. On today's episode, I'm chatting to the lovely Brogan Scott. She is the creative behind Brogan Scott Studio. You may remember her, our first ever repeat guest. If you missed her first appearance as a vendor, talking stationery and design, then make sure you go back and listen to episode 21. That was such a great chat as well. This time, Brogan's back to talk about her recent wedding, a beautiful inner city Auckland wedding where they had their ceremony at Old Government House and reception at the Chinese restaurant Grand Harbour. We hear all about her love story and planning journey, from a relaxed breakfast in bed proposal to finding her beautiful vintage dresses, what it is like planning your own wedding when you're also a wedding vendor, crafting a celebration that's personal, playful and authentic. They even had a brass band leading their guests through the city to the reception. Love that. Choosing a restaurant reception for the intimate vibes and great food. How she pulled off the styling and stationery on a very tight timeline. Brogan has some amazing advice for couples planning at the moment. Make sure you go and check out some of her incredible wedding photos by Karen Sweeney. The wedding was also featured in Australian Vogue, which is very special. And go and check out Brogan's beautiful bespoke stationery work. I will link everything in the show notes for you. This was such a fun and refreshing conversation, full of colour, laughter, and genuinely helpful insight for anyone planning a wedding they want to feel relaxed, creative, and true to you. Enjoy episode 120 with Brogan. Hi, Brogan. So excited to have you back on the podcast. I think you're our first ever repeat guest, and you came on as a vendor first and now a bride, so exciting to see you go through that experience for yourself and chat to you about that today.
Thank you for having me again. Can't believe twice. We'll have to do it a yearly thing, hopefully.
Yeah, so good. So we'll hear a bit about your story. If you can kind of take us back to the story of how you guys met and a bit of your lives together.
Josh and I, we've kind of known each other. Well, Josh is my husband, obviously. Yeah. And we got married earlier this year in April 2025. But we've known each other for a while, actually, probably since even high school, I would say. So over 15 years, even more. That's actually further now, gosh. But we're just kind of in the same friend circle. Auckland's very small, so everyone was always kind of like hanging out. But nothing really came to eventuate until, it would have been coming up 6 years now, and it was R&V 2019. Josh is in a band called No Cigar, and they were actually opening it up, and I went down with a friend and her boyfriend, and we went down there and kind of watched them perform, and I guess afterwards the show, we were all hanging out, and he took me to the VIP tent, and I guess the rest was history. We obviously got along very well, and I think after that, 2-3 weeks later, he was playing at another festival, and we actually went camping at Lake Waikato Moana for a couple of nights, and I think that was pretty much our first date together. So we were kind of straight into it, which was fun. And then now we're obviously happily married. We even work together. So I run Brogan Scott Studios, which is a bespoke stationery business which I create watercolors. You can see them in the background if you're watching this. And Josh helps me run all the operations and all of that. So we're definitely now officially a family-run business, I guess you can say.
Oh, so good. Love that. And so you were together for quite a while, got engaged. Can you tell us a bit about the proposal story?
Yeah, so I would love to say that it was like this big spontaneous surprise, but it really wasn't that at all. We'd obviously been talking about getting married for ages. Like we were talking about weddings before a ring was even involved with our friends and family. I share my studio with Lizzie from Love James, so I was trying on wedding dresses before there was even a proposal. The wedding dress I actually chose was the first dress I tried on, and that was before a ring was even in the question. I mean, in the picture. How it kind of came to fruition, I was kind of like, okay, we're going to get this ball rolling. We'd always thought about doing a trip to Melbourne. We love going out for dinners and kind of exploring. So I kind of organized a trip for us to go to Melbourne. And one of my favorite designers, Seb Brown, has a studio there. So I thought it would be a good chance for us to kind of look at rings. And we both actually decided on getting rings from Seb Brown. We didn't do wedding rings. Josh didn't do a wedding ring. He did an engagement ring as well. So it was actually a really fun experience. We kind of had like this fun weekend away together, like went out for dinners, went to his studio, chose the rings together and really made a weekend out of it. And then that was in actually May 2024. And then we were obviously doing all the emails. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to drop off because obviously Josh is going to try surprise me at some point in the next few months. So I'm just going to drop off and Josh is going to take over like the organization of the rings and all of that. And then I think it was like maybe a month later, because I don't know, Josh is king of procrastination, some would say. So I wasn't expecting it to happen anytime soon. And then I think maybe 3 weeks later, I got an email saying, hey, thanks, your deposit's been received. Um, so, so I kindly told Josh, I was like, hey, maybe just tell them to take me off the email updates, just so obviously when the balance is paid, I'm not getting told. So he did that. And then we were actually in Bali a couple months later. And on the last week, I got a nice email saying the balance had been paid. So there seriously wasn't any surprise. But then in August, so we found the rings in May, fast forward to August. I was just in bed and Josh was like, oh, I'll make I'll make you breakfast in bed. I'll go to the supermarket. And I was like, okay, cool. Actually, I think he didn't even tell me he was making breakfast. I think he was like, oh, I'm going to the supermarket and I'm getting coffee. And then I was like, okay, he does that often. And then I got up out of bed to go to the bathroom and he kind of shoved the door in my face. And so I kind of had an inkling what was going on. And then I went back to bed and then he came in and had the breakfast that he made me on our first Valentine's Day together. And then he got down on one knee, but he actually pulled out his ring from the box, his engagement ring, and then quickly grabbed mine, squatting next to the bed. So very, very chill, very humble. And then we actually just finished a bottle of champagne in bed. And this was at like 7:30 in the morning. So quite outrageous. But it was a beautiful day in Auckland, very cold, but sunny. And we went out for breakfast, walked into the city, got some vinyls from Real Groovy to remember the day, went to Amano for lunch and caught up with my mum for a celebratory drink. So it was very relaxed, kind of, I guess, what the epitome of our relationship, I guess. Very organized at the beginning and then kind of just like very chill.
Oh, so good. I love that. Sounds like a perfect day, honestly. Even with
no, I know. I recommend
not surprises, but yeah.
Yeah. I really recommend kind of drilling into your partner to get proposed to in the morning, because then you just have like the full day to experience it. I feel like if I got proposed to in the evening, I would just be like, I'd be buzzing and it would just be such like a short time period to celebrate. So get those early morning proposals in, I say.
It's a great tip. I feel like so many guys are like nervous and acting all weird the whole day if they wait as well. And people are like, what are you doing? So yeah, love that. So yeah, you'd already kind of been talking about weddings, sort of working in the wedding world and exposed to a lot of that. Did you have a specific vision for your own wedding? Did you know what you wanted already? What was that kind of start of that process, deciding a venue? Yeah.
I guess like obviously being in the wedding industry, you're kind of going to be doing research on your wedding before it even happens. I always have had like an Instagram like mood board that I save things to called Wedding that I always kind of wanted to gravitate towards. But I guess for Josh and I, we kind of just wanted something very us, very authentic, I would say. I think still working in the wedding industry, you obviously see a lot, everything's so accessible. People like go on Pinterest and Instagram and kind of like see an image that they like and then try recreate that for their own wedding. So we really wanted something that was kind of quite us, which was the kind of like playful, not too serious, very fun. And I guess I'd always kind of envisioned having my wedding or reception at a restaurant. I love going out for dinners, and I think there's just like such like a intimate, fun vibe at restaurants. And then Josh's kind of one thing about having the reception at a restaurant was that it had to be like a big room. He didn't want it to be kind of like lots of alcoves that not everyone could like see, like the head table or see everyone. So I guess like starting with the wedding venues, I guess that's kind of like always the first thing you kind of try lock in. And that really sets the tone. Originally, like we had started planning this before, obviously rings were on our fingers. So I had always loved Old Government House. And that's a part of Auckland University. It's just obviously the Old Government House of New Zealand, but it's now actually the common room for all the teachers there and professors. And it's this beautiful yellow heritage building in the city. I always wanted kind of like an inner city wedding. The idea of like planning a destination wedding is so fun, but very stressful, I would say. Like I loved planning that like we would be able to go down and like measure things up on our lunch breaks, or like it was just very accessible and very easy. And I love Auckland, and we kind of wanted to celebrate our love where we could have obviously grown together in. So like I said, Old Government House was like my original idea. I actually went to Auckland University studying fine arts at Elam, so I knew that building from there. So then when we reached out, maybe probably like a year before the wedding, before the engagement happened, I was kind of like just floating the idea around, and they said, oh, we're actually doing heritage work. Like it's not going to happen. We're not taking any events on next year. And I was like, okay, all good. Kind of like tabled it, like didn't think that would be possible. So then we were actually looking at the Auckland Art Gallery, and we were going to have our ceremony at the Auckland Art Gallery outside, which is really beautiful, overlooking Albert Park. People who are getting married, you should definitely look at that venue. The only issue with the Auckland Art Gallery is that it's obviously Auckland Council, and anyone who's worked with Auckland Council knows that it can be quite hard to work with. So there were just so many hidden costs, like having a security guard would have to be there to like unload and offload, and that was going to be like an extra like $4,000. Or like if we wanted photos through the museum, we'd have to have a security guard with us, which was an extra $1,500. So it was just all these hidden costs kept adding up, and I was like, okay, this is too much, like too stressful. And we were like pretty much all locked in to having the reception there. And then I was like, you know what, I'm going to reach back out to Old Government House and just see what's happened. And this is probably 6 months after the original catch up. So I emailed them back, and they were actually like, oh, we're not actually doing the heritage work anymore, so we could actually look at booking you in. So that was like divine timing. And then we just kind of ended up going down that route of having the ceremony there, which was so lovely. And then kind of wanting to have a complete different feel for the evening, which we decided for having our reception at Grand Harbour, which is a Chinese restaurant down in the Viaduct. Josh and I go there very often, and it was his idea when he was like, we were talking about big venues in the Auckland city with big rooms. He was like, oh, what about Grand Harbour? And I was like, oh my gosh, that is just like the most genius idea ever. Like how fun, dumplings and Peking duck for dinner. It's like a very relaxed vibe. Like all our friends know the space, but it's so fun kind of like creating a new feeling, a new atmosphere in a space that people already know. And the people who run Grand Harbour are just like the loveliest people and so easy to work with. The food's amazing. Like it was so chill, and they were a great venue choice, and just created like a very fun atmosphere. Like they allowed us to bring in like our light up dance floor, which was like so epic. Josh's family are from Scotland, so we did a lot of Scottish dancing. And we actually did a welcome drinks the night before at the Greyland RSA, and it was like a welcome drink / dance class. And Josh's dad was on the mic kind of teaching people how to do Strip the Willow, which was a good thing to do, because then on the night people actually knew the dance. Josh's sister has got married maybe 7 years ago, I think, and they did the Strip the Willow, but they didn't do any dance class before, and apparently it was a big mess. So, like lots of drunken people not knowing what to do. So I think it was a good idea kind of having this pre-dance class beforehand.
I love that. Such a good idea, and just great way for people to like mingle as well. But yeah, really cool venues, and I think a lot of people don't look outside the kind of typical wedding venues, I guess, or like think about having it at a restaurant, approaching your local place or whatever. So yeah, in such a cool spot, that old government house. I actually used to work for Auckland Uni earlier in my career across the road from there, so went there for coffee many times. And yeah, it's such a special building, like beautiful setting. Yeah,
it's so stunning. And like the good thing about it is that it's got this like big beautiful lawn. You can see some of the big buildings in the city, which I think add to it. But then the best thing is that if it's raining, you've got this beautiful wet weather plan idea inside. It's got these two big beautiful rooms that you could have like the reception in one and the after party in another room. So like we were actually even tossing up having the whole wedding at Old Government House, to be honest. It would have just been a lot easier, but we did love the idea of kind of making two distinctly different events. And the fun thing is that we actually surprised our guests with a band to walk. So we were lucky, we got very good weather. It was very touch and go. It was pouring down the 2 days before the wedding. But we had booked a brass band to walk us between the two venues, but we didn't tell anyone that was happening. So it was very fun kind of having everyone together walking in a big mass with music, going through. All the guests said that was like their favorite part of the day. It was like so surreal. It was like setting sun. We had people like joining in the procession, which was hilarious. But it was definitely like an element, and it was such a cool way to kind of get people into the reception, and everyone was buzzing. And then we went straight into the the Strip the Willow, and then obviously sat down and had dinner and speeches.
So cool. You've mentioned a few things in there, but did you kind of have your top priorities, the most important elements of the day you were thinking about when planning?
I think like top priority is that I really wanted to be kind of amongst it for most of the time. Josh and I did a first look, which I know people are always like so unsure of doing or not. It's very controversial, I would say. But Josh and I obviously aren't very traditional. Like we spent the night together the night before. He like left home at like 9 a.m. when I was like already kind of getting ready. So we did a first look, and I'm so happy we kind of did that, because I was quite nervous beforehand. I was like, oh, like, you know, you kind of go into the venue and you're getting really excited, but also quite nervous. It's all starting to feel very real. And then kind of seeing Josh just in a more personal setting was really special. And we were able to get like an hour of photos done before people were arriving. And those photos are my favorite out of like all the like of us. And that was when we kind of got a couple photos. And then by the time that it was time for me to walk down the aisle, I was like not nervous like at all. I was like so excited. I always thought I was going to be like this like horrifically nervous bride. I get like sometimes I can get quite bad social anxiety. So I've always been like, oh, I'm going to be like a wreck going down the aisle. But I was just like so excited to go down there. Funny enough, we had planned to have a song for playing just like on the speakers. And Josh's brother was actually going to be singing for us while we were doing our signing. And then when all the bridesmaids were kind of like lining up, there was someone singing. And I was like, oh, what the hell? Like, that someone's singing. And then I was like, oh, it must be Jordan. Josh's brother must be singing. And then the event coordinator, Lisa, she was like, okay, actually, Josh isn't going to meet you at the top of the aisle, because I was walking myself down. That's actually Josh singing. And Josh had practiced the walking down the aisle song and sung me down the aisle, which was very, very cute, very funny. I feel like in situations like that, I just laugh. So it was a great way to kind of get the ceremony going. But I guess, yeah, going back to your question, definitely prioritizing being present. Like I didn't want to go off for like an hour and a half, 2 hours and miss like catching up with friends and family. That was definitely number one. Number two was kind of just like having fun. And me also being relaxed. I wanted to be kind of a guest at my own wedding. And I think that's really important. And like, if the bride and the groom are having fun and happy, everyone else is going to follow suit, I would say. It's all about vibes. Like if you're stressed or you're worried about getting photos or like this and that, everyone's going to pick up on that energy. So in saying that, I booked Lisa on the day coordinator to kind of manage the lead up to the wedding and on the day. Because we didn't have a wedding planner, I just planned it all and styled it all myself. But I just knew that I didn't want to be like the first point of call, and I wanted someone that I could trust that could make decisions on the day. And Lisa was just amazing. Like I cannot recommend her enough. I'm sure you know her very well.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Oh, she's like such a legend. And it's also just it's just good to have someone on your side, like talking to vendors, it can be quite tricky. Like we did have a few hiccups with a couple of the vendors that we worked with, and it was just like so nice having someone on your side to kind of be there to like also be a voice, because it can be quite easy just for some vendors being like, oh, this is just how we do it, and we're not going to move because like this is just how it's done. And it's like, okay, that's great, but like, can we try something a little bit different or something like that? So it is good to have someone on your team who is also an event planner and a wedding planner and is really organized. And like Lisa's spreadsheets, oh my gosh, they were just like lifesavers. Just like, oh, she's the best. Recommend it. If you're not paying for a wedding planner, get an on the day coordinator. It is just like a non-negotiable in my eyes, or else you're just going to be stressed and not present.
So good. Yeah, it comes up again and again, but honestly, I think one of the most important vendors just to like help you actually enjoy your day and not have everyone coming to you like you say. And she's amazing, so highly recommend. Touching on the dress, very lucky to be neighbours with Love James and Lizzie, but can you tell us a bit about that process and how that all went for you?
Yeah, it was actually like the easiest process ever. Like I said, was already kind of looking at dresses beforehand. Like whenever Lizzie kind of got new stock in, would kind of like try them on now and then. And then once me and Josh had gone to Melbourne, I was like, okay, Lizzie, it's happening. Like we're locking this in. We're going to be getting married next year, most likely. And Lizzie was like, okay, cool. Like, do you want to send me your mood board or like dresses that you like? So I just kind of showed her my Instagram saved of like all the dresses, and they were quite like, I would say quite puffy, lots of texture, quite minimal in the design, but then like having some fun accents. And then I think it was like a month later, Lizzie was like, oh, I just got like a big order of dresses, and I think there's like 2 that are very you. I kind of sourced them for you. And I was like, okay, perfect. And the first dress I tried on was actually the wedding dress that that we ended up going for, the pink one. I can never like envisioned myself wearing like a white dress. Like if I was going to wear white, it would be like an off-white or an ivory or a cream. And then like the second I put the pink dress on, it couldn't fit. It was like, had this really bad like racer backing, which wasn't a vibe at all. But I just like loved the way it moved. I always wanted a comfy dress. I always see lots of weddings where the brides are like battling to walk in their dresses, or just like it's just like the dress is wearing them and not the other way around. And I just wanted a dress that I could feel comfortable in, not like restricted or that I couldn't breathe. And I like loved it, but I was like, okay, maybe this is too good to be true. Like it's very rare that you go to one place and you try one dress on and that's it. And then the second dress I tried on was actually the dress that I went for and wore as my second dress, which I went into after dinner. And I was like, oh yeah, like we'll keep them. And then obviously people usually, I guess, try on dresses with friends and family, and these try-ons were just like Lizzie and me in the studio, like on a Friday when she doesn't have people coming in and I'm just working. So I was like, okay, I probably need to organize like a day with some family and friends just so I can like, I guess, give them the experience, but also like have an experience for me a bit. So we got some more dresses and I did a try on. And I guess it's when you're working with vintage, it's really important to kind of have a vision, or like don't think that what you're trying on now is going to be the end product. Like I couldn't fit this pink dress. I feel like people maybe put too much pressure on this like feeling that they're going to get when they're wearing this dress, and that's like the moment that they're kind of like, okay, this is the dress, and they want people's reactions.
Often doesn't fit you properly the first time you try on like at any store.
Yeah, like especially if you're trying vintage, if you're not like a size 6'8", like nothing's going to fit you really. It's going to be very, very rare that you're going to have that moment. So we organized a catch up with some friends and family, and we tried the dresses on, and we tried some more. Like Lizzie's just got the most beautiful dresses. Like people, if you are thinking about buying dresses, look at Lizzie, look at vintage. I think it's such an overlooked place to look for dresses. It's way more affordable, obviously, than kind of getting one made or buying it brand new. And it's just so special knowing that like most likely no one else is going to be wearing this dress, or hasn't for a very, very long time. But when I showed my friends and family the dress, like they actually weren't super keen on the pink one. There was this other one that I had, and I actually ended up buying it because I was like, I'm just going to buy this as a backup just in case. And they were really keen on that one. But me and Lizzie, we saw the vision, and I really loved it. And then I always had this kind of idea of having this quite lacy, heavy, tiered veil. I just like loved the idea of it. So then Lizzie actually originally had this dress, and it was this tiered dress, and I tried it on and it was really, really beautiful, but it was see-through, and I was like, okay, no, I don't think I can do this. Like wearing my undies and knickers at the wedding, it might be a bit too much in front of family and friends. But it definitely inspired me to create this kind of like tiered veil. And so Lizzie did some sourcing and found this beautiful, well, not beautiful, the lace is beautiful, 1950s dress, but it was very tattered, very ripped up. It had lots of work that needed doing to it, but it was perfect for us because I took it to Harriet. She made I gave her the dress. I kind of told her what I was envisioning, having this like all lace tiered veil, and she cut it up and put it together for me and made the most perfect veil. And I didn't actually try them on together until maybe like 2 weeks before the wedding, just because I didn't fit this vintage dress, and I definitely wanted to kind of change it up a bit. The racer back was not it. I couldn't fit it properly. I was kind of spilling out the sides. So I actually took the dress to Brooke Tyson, and she redid it for me. And she also made this beautiful silk dupion overskirt. And she hand dyed the silk itself to match my dress, which I still just think it's just like insane. Like crazy, like Brooke is so talented. If anyone actually wants to go down that route of like handmade, getting a dress made in New Zealand, Brooke's your gal. I cannot recommend her enough. My friend, she's actually getting married in March, and she lives in London, and she's getting Brooke to make her dress. That's how good she is.
So good.
So I know. So I took took the dress to Brooke. We turned it into a halter. She did some boning in it to kind of make it a little bit more fitted. And then kind of redid the drop waist, and then took out the back, so it was kind of like a halter low back, and then obviously did the overskirt because I really wanted this like overskirt moment to make it kind of more dramatic for the ceremony, and then the walk, and then I took it off for the reception, which was really nice to then just kind of have like a more chilled dress for dinner. But yeah, like I said, I hadn't tried anything on together until like 3 weeks before the wedding, and when I tried the veil on with a pink dress, I was like, oh, I think it might be a little bit too much. And I'd always actually planned to have my hair down for it. But luckily, a week before the wedding, I went to try the dress on again. And I just had a facial, and my hair was very greasy and slicked back. And when we tried it on, I was like, oh, this is actually a vibe, having it kind of up more and kind of exposing the top of the dress, which again, I highly recommend if you're kind of tossing up, having your hair up or down, have it up. Like just the photos, you're not going to have your hair in the way. Like if you're dancing, like we were obviously doing the procession, it was a little bit windy. I would have had hair flying everywhere. And it would have just been like another element of like trying to manage. So I'm very, very happy, very last minute, that we decided to have the hair up. My poor hairdresser, we did the trials beforehand and it was all down, and we planned it. And then like she rocked up on the day of the wedding, and I was like, I think we're doing a slick back. So it was very, very last minute. And my sister, actually, my bridesmaid, my sister, she had an image of what she wanted to have her hair like, and I was like, oh, can I steal that from you? So bless her, she had an idea of what she wanted for her hair, and then I was like, can I do that? So it was very, very last minute decision.
So good. Definitely like pulled the whole look together though. I think you're right. Thinking about your dress and what suits it up or down, and then New Zealand weather as well. There's like always wind, I swear. So if you can do that beautiful like slick back look, then that's the one for sure.
Your makeup artist has a secret they're probably not telling you. Most stopped using sunscreen in their kits years ago. Not because they don't care about protecting your skin, but because every SPF they tried ruined the makeup. It peeled under foundation, separated concealer, and made reactive skin worse. On your wedding day, when you're standing in direct sunlight for hours and photographed from every angle, that's a problem. That's why Melita Skin was created. The founders, certified skin specialists who spent 5 years at Mecca, saw this issue again and again. So they teamed up with some of New Zealand's top bridal makeup artists to find a solution. Together they asked one question: what if we made an SPF that improved makeup instead of breaking it? After years of development, GlowGuard was born. A hybrid SPF 50 with zinc oxide and chemical filters, giving you the blurring benefits of mineral protection without the white cast. It's lightweight, fast absorbing, and formulated to calm and protect even the most sensitive skin. It leaves a soft, velvety finish that foundation glides over beautifully. Makeup artists are even reapplying it throughout the day over makeup without disrupting the look. Your wedding day makeup stays flawless, your skin stays protected. No pilling, no separation, 4-hour protection that truly lasts. You can get GlowGuard at melitaskin.com, linked in the show notes, and because you're a podcast listener, use code KWP15 for 15% off. Your makeup artist already trusts it, now you can too. Thank you so much to Melita for supporting this episode of the Kiwi Wedding Podcast.
Did you have a bridal party? And if so, how was that process choosing them? Did you find that easy?
Yeah, so I did have a bridal party. We had on both sides 4 people each. So obviously my sister, she was one. And then I had three of my best friends who actually 2 of them were living overseas. So it was really special having them come over. And then my friend Kate was also a bridesmaid. And we also did Flower Girls, which was my 3 nieces and then Kate's baby daughter, Marlo. So it was really special kind of having them all together, and the girls took their jobs very seriously, as they should. But the process was like really chill, I would say. Like I didn't do any like bridesmaid proposal lunches or didn't make any boxes or anything like that. It was kind of just like a message and like like you're my best friend, you kind of expect it, here we go. But obviously like made a group chat to kind of like talk about things and stuff like that. And then on the morning of the wedding, it was very, very chill. Like we didn't wear matching outfits or anything like that, because kind of just like wear whatever you want to feel comfortable in. This is when we're getting ready. And then for their dresses, I just wanted something that they all liked. Like I liked the idea of kind of having red and green. That was kind of the colors throughout the wedding, I would say. Kind of red and green for the reception, and then more softer colors for red and green for the reception, and then softer colors for the ceremony, which was like more of like a garden party kind of vibe. But I kind of just did like a big list of I did like an Excel spreadsheet of all these dresses I liked that were like red and green. And I was like, okay, there was like 50 dresses on it, I think. And I was like, okay, like if you like one here, let me know which one you like and I can send it to you and you can try it on. And if you like it, you can have it. And if not, we can like return it and get a new one. So I just kind of gave each of them a color, and then they just chose the dress that they liked. And it was super easy and chill. I kind of wanted them to all be wearing a dress that they felt themselves in. Like all my friends are very different. They all have different styles and they all have different body shapes. So there was never going to be like one dress or one style that was going to fit them all. And yeah, I didn't want them to feel uncomfortable on the day or like anything like that. And I let them choose how they wanted their hair, and I let them choose what makeup they were wearing and what shoes they were wearing. I just wanted them to kind of, feel themselves and also feel pretty and like relaxed.
I love that. Came together so well. And how about the guest list? Did you find that quite tricky to narrow down?
The guest list, it wasn't too hard to narrow down. I guess we kind of got married at a very random time of year, I would say, like April. In hindsight, April probably wasn't the best time of year for us because it's the end of the busy wedding season. So it was absolute manic for work, kind of with the New Zealand wedding season, but then it's also the same time that it overlapped with the Northern Hemisphere wedding season that I'd also work in. So it was a very, very crazy time of year, but I could never get married in summer. I run very, very hot. I would be sweating. I would be miserable. So I'm so happy we did get married in April. It was like the most beautiful temperature. We got a really lovely day. But the guest list, Josh's family Josh's parents are from Scotland, and Josh was born in Scotland and he moved to New Zealand when he was 10. So a lot of his family unfortunately couldn't make it, just because it's obviously a very odd time of year. It's not like they can kind of align it with like a Christmas break or over summer. So we did have some of his family coming from Sydney who lived there, which was really special. And then I am close with one side of my family, not close to the other. So it wasn't like huge amounts of family at the wedding. It was more just friends. And because of the restaurant has quite like a limited number of people you can have, it kind of just made the decision for us We also have lots of friends who like live over in Europe who couldn't make it, just because, again, it's a random time of year and people kind of try to tie it in to at like February when they can go to like 4 different weddings on one trip, you know. But it was really special. We did have lots of people who did make the trip from overseas, which was just meant the world. And but we did have kind of like a little bit of a wedding lead up. I think people who kind of do destination weddings, they do kind of a wedding weekend, and we kind of still wanted that feel, but in Auckland. And kind of just also welcome and be thankful for people who did make the effort to kind of fly over from overseas. So we hosted like a whānau and family dinner on the Thursday, which was supposed to be in our garden at home, but the weather was not complying. And me and Josh had spent months getting the garden looking so good for this dinner. And we like had it so planned, like al fresco, very, very beautiful. We've got like a really beautiful vine covered garden, so it's going to be stunning. But luckily, I have the studio on K Road where Josh and I work from, and it's got a big table that fits like 20 people, and we just got some extra tables, and I think we hosted around 35 people for dinner. And we actually ended up doing like a family potluck, so Josh's family and my family all made a dish, which was really lovely. And it was just such like a nice way to kind of start the weekend. It was a bit of a blowout, to be honest. We didn't end up going to bed until like 2 a.m. We definitely got like the first night fever of the wedding. So when we did the rehearsal the next day, I had a bridesmaid who couldn't make it. She was a bit unwell. So it was quite funny. But it was good because we got all that excitement out on the Thursday. And then Friday when we did the RSA night and did the dance class, I wasn't too keen to push the boat out just because I was a little bit dusty. So that was a good way to kind of stop getting too excited on the first night. And then obviously the wedding the next day.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's kind of my next question. So following on from there, if you want to kind of tell us how the whole day went and any highlights or favourite moments.
Yeah, so the day was really relaxed, which was so lovely. When we did the rehearsal the day before, it was like pouring down. And we all had umbrellas, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a nightmare if it's like not good weather. But we were very, very lucky. Had stunning weather. It was very relaxed. We obviously did the first look, and then had family photos before the wedding. And then Josh was kind of greeting guests, and I was in the AV room out the back with the bridesmaids, and we kind of did lots of bridesmaids photos. Then went down the aisle and had the ceremony. Our friend James Hunt, he was the officiator. Is that what the word is? I can't. Officiant
or celebrant. Yeah.
A celebrant. He was a celebrant. So we were very, very lucky to have him because he had actually married a couple of our friends. And then he was kind of then getting kind of asked by people he didn't really know. So he was kind of trying to hang up his hat. But Josh and I had always were like, okay, we want James to marry us. Like, he's a good friend of ours. It'll be epic. So we actually we wrote him a song and recorded it and put it on Spotify. So if you guys want to hear it, you can check it out. It's called the James Hunt Appreciation Club. And it's called Forever Friend. And it's a song about how amazing he is and him asking him to marry us. So of course he couldn't say no, because anyone who's going to write a song about asking you to marry them, they're not going to be able to say no. So we had him marry us, which was really special. My sister did a reading, and then we asked my brother and Josh's sister Hayley to sign our marriage license. It was really important to kind of include them in the day as well. And then we just had obviously cocktail hour and cocktails. We did like a spritz bar, so Aperol spritz and Campari, and then we had lots of bubbles. We were originally going to do Prosecco and just scrap the bubbles, and then last minute we were like, you know what, you get married once, let's have bubbles, and don't regret it, do not regret it, except mum said she missed out on the bubbles at the start. She was too nervous for her speech and didn't want to cock it up. And then we actually kind of spread our speeches out, so we had a couple of speeches during cocktail hour, which was really lovely. We had my mum and Josh's mother talk, and then we did the rest of the speeches at dinner. So I think that was quite nice just to break up cocktail hour a little bit. And when I say cocktail hour, it was actually like an hour and a half, 2 hours long. And then obviously the walk down to Grand Harbour was definitely a highlight of the day. It was so, so fun. And then carried on through reception at Grand Harbour. We didn't do a first dance. We just did like a ribbon cutting. We put like a giant red ribbon across the dance floor after Strip the Willow, and I bought these like giant red scissors as kind of like a joke, and that was like us kind of like opening the dance floor. I just personally, just the idea of kind of dancing with Josh and people watching me gives me the heebie-jeebies. So we decided not to do that, and we actually also didn't do a wedding cake. We just asked Grand Harbour to kind of create a mochi ball tower, which was quite funny. I kind of had this really like bougie, cool, fun idea in my head, and gave them some mood board images. And when it kind of got wheeled out, it was nothing like that. And it was just hilarious. And it was just so funny. I was there kind of shoving mochi balls in people's mouths just before the dance floor opened. And then we obviously had the dance floor, but my brother-in-law, he's Māori, and my nephew and nieces are Māori, and he did a beautiful haka for us just after all the speeches, which was really special. And then we danced the night away, which was really fun on the light up dance floor. I just thought, I kind of had the idea of doing a light up dance floor, and we could like sync it to the DJ, which was really, really fun. So it was kind of lighting up with the music, and the lighting of the restaurant was really epic. We had our friend Surin, who is Josh's band No Cigars audio engineer. So he does all the audio when they go on tour, but he also does lighting. So he did all the lighting at the restaurant, because obviously the Grand Harbour lighting is quite harsh. They don't have dimmable lights. So we didn't use any of their lighting, and kind of created the site more kind of theatre red lighting, which was really, really fun, and kind of just added to that really epic atmosphere.
It's such an incredible day. I love all those moments, and just like, yeah, personalization of all the different elements. Yeah, so beautiful. Your photos as well, which we'll definitely have to share some of them. What did you find the hardest part about the whole wedding planning process? Was there anything you look back on and regret or would have done a little differently?
I think one thing, I guess, obviously it was, what I found quite hard was just because we were planning it ourselves, and we were kind of doing all the styling and everything was happening very last minute, just because we were so busy with work.
Short engagement as well, right? Was it like August to April? Yeah.
August to April. So we didn't really have that much time, even though we were obviously planning it far before the engagement actually happened.
Yeah, true.
But it was just because we're in the wedding industry, it's quite easy to kind of put your wedding on hold and not really focus on anything. So like all of the styling that we did, I would say I would actually be my worst client. I'm always like, oh my gosh, I'm always following up clients being like, give me your guest list, give me this. We actually didn't start on any of the styling until 3 weeks before the wedding, which is just insane. It was just crazy. Like I reached out to Table Linen 3 weeks before the wedding to help us create these bespoke tablecloths. And they so kindly did, and they were amazing. So they did all the tablecloths for the reception. And then I went out to Nick's Fabrics to do all the tablecloths and draping for the reception area, for cocktail hour and the grazing table. And that was like 3 weeks before the wedding. And then all the stationery, for on the day stationery, obviously I designed, and that also came into fruition. Like the 3 weeks, me and my sister, the day before the wedding, were gluing the menus together, and I was making the spritz bar menu the night before the wedding. So it was honestly all very, very last minute. So that was probably one thing I'd change, was just to kind of treat myself as a client a little bit better, I guess. Giving myself deadlines.
The way, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
And a photographer that needs to print my own work, or it's always your job. Yeah,
I know. And I think just like that pressure, like everyone was like, oh, like the stationery, like what's your stationery going to be like? And I was like, oh yeah, like I have no idea. So it all came together very last minute. And I guess it's quite interesting, because whenever I'm designing with clients, I kind of give them the designs, and then they give me feedback, and then I take that feedback. So it's kind of like you have the soundboarding kind of advice, and it's quite like a collaborative process. But then when you're designing your own stationery, like I guess it's only you. Obviously, I had Josh. My husband, was very involved in the planning. He obviously, I guess I was always the one that would kind of have the ideas, and then he'd be kind of like making the last decisions, or kind of helping finalize those. But yeah, I guess it was just the stationery, treating myself like my own client. I guess we were kind of wanting to do so many different like authentically us moments. Like for Josh's kilt, I designed the pattern for his kilt, just because I wanted his kilt to be a little bit different, and kind of in the same color scheme as my dress and the bridesmaids' dresses. So I luckily actually did this far beforehand. I think this was actually 2 months before the wedding took place. So I was much more organized with the kilt. I designed the pattern, and then we printed it on fabric, and then took it to Reese Studio, who also did the alterations for my second dress. She made the kilt for Josh, and it was just so special, kind of having a bespoke kilt for him, and it looked so epic in all the photos, and it was so nice, like kind of having a really fun color scheme, and all the boys were in different kilts, which I really loved. I didn't want it to be too matchy, which was quite nice.
Yeah, I feel like it's so hard to treat yourself as your own client and end up doing things last minute. But yeah, it's so cool, all the elements that you were able to do yourself. Yeah, beautiful. Did you guys have a set wedding budget, if you're happy to talk about that, and how that whole process went?
Yeah, we kind of had a budget. I think our budget was 60,000, but we were very lucky. Like, I worked with Floral Centric for florals, and I did her wedding stationery, so then she did my florals. So we did a lot of contra, and then I also did some of my photographer Karen Sweeney, who was also amazing. I did some of her wedding stationery, so that went towards her photography. So we're very lucky. Like, I was able to kind of work around and include it. So I'm sure it would have been more expensive than it actually was. But in saying that, like, we did keep it relatively like humble. Like, obviously the great thing about the dinner venue is that it wasn't like a higher fee. It wasn't anything like that. It was just a minimum spend. So it was just food and drinks, which we actually didn't hit at the end of the day. We didn't spend as much. So then that just added to a higher fee to top it up. But we were very close to spending that. So I guess, when it's tricky because you can see photos and you'd see, and I guess because I'm also doing my stationery, I'm saving money on that as well. So we did stick to that budget, but I wouldn't say that my wedding was worth that. It was probably a little bit more expensive just because I was able to DIY a lot of it. So, and then like the vintage wedding, like my wedding dress was really affordable. And I just kind of made sure to decide where I put things, like Rebe, my friend, she made me my amazing shoes for my wedding, and I did her stationery for her wedding. So it was kind of like I did lots of swaps with creative friends, which were very, very lucky. So I guess, it is tricky, and it's so tricky with budgets and like seeing things on Instagram and being like, oh, I want that, and then it like looks all good, but it's just like weddings are so expensive. I'm a wedding vendor. I know, like, people always say like, oh, everything's more expensive because it's a wedding. Totally agree. It is. It's a hard process. Like, working in the wedding industry, it's sometimes people's like biggest day. So it does
There's
get
like
quite
a reason
expensive
for it, but it all adds
up.
It
all adds up. Like, we definitely went over the budget a little bit, but I definitely didn't want a day that was gonna like put us out and be stressful. Like, post-wedding, I'm not like financially stressed or anything like that. So I made sure that like what we were doing was like sticking in, and we were very lucky. We had family contributing as well, so it wasn't just all of us, all of our money. So we were very privileged in that way as well.
Yeah, so good for people to hear, and I think that's a great tip as well. If you do have some kind of skill you can sort of swap with,
you've got to hustle these days,
or friends or family, just do a little deal between each other, then why not? That's so good.
It does. It's like, if it makes such a difference doing like little contra deals. So if you've got a skill, you try use that skill and apply it. It could be like, if you're a designer, like reach out to a photographer and be like, hey, could I redesign your wedding, or like, if just like have a think about like, or if you're a marketer, be like, hey, could I do digital marketing? This is what I do. There's definitely ways to use your time instead of your wallet, should I say, to pay for things.
Yeah, so good. Love that. Did you guys go on honeymoon straight away? What did planning that look like?
We kind of did, kind of didn't. We didn't really plan for anything. We went down to Queenstown. Josh's parents have a place down there. So we went down there, just the two of us for 5 days, but I got very, very sick. I feel like all brides get sick after weddings. It was just like, I think it was like, I had my hens do the weekend before the wedding, which was like a huge night. So it was like 3 massive nights in like a wet span of a week, which is just insane. Like, I would love to say that my wedding, we kind of politely left at 12 p.m, but instead we did kick-ons at our house and got noise control at 3 a.m. It kind of turned into a bit of a house party. So we were like the respectable 12 p.m. curfew. We definitely pushed the boat out on that front. So I naturally got very sick down in Queenstown. I had all these plans to do all these hikes and amazing walks and like go to all these vineyards. And we actually just spent the whole time at Josh's parents' place. I think we left maybe like twice. And then because I was sick, I was like, oh, if I'm sick, I might as well just work. So I kind of just carried on working when I worked for myself. Because when you work for yourself, you don't want to take your days off when you're sick. You want to do it when you're feeling good. So we kind of just ended up working through, and then Josh's family joined us as well because Josh's brother flew over from from London. So we had a bit of a family holiday too. So no real honeymoon actually, and then we just went straight back into work. But we are going to Greece next week for a friend's wedding in Athens. So we're in Athens for a week, and then we've just booked a little house in Sifnos for 2 weeks, which will kind of be our honeymoon, but / working remotely. Unfortunately, when you work for yourself, you don't really get any time off.
No days off, but at least you'll be
no
on a
days
beautiful
off.
Greek island and not New Zealand winter.
Exactly. So it could be worse. And especially when you're both working on the same business, you can't both take the time off, unfortunately. Someone's got to be manning the emails and doing all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be so nice though. We've probably touched on a lot of it already, but was there, and you've been in the industry just knowing heaps of vendors as well, but was there any kind of helpful resources that you used during the planning process other than just your connections or for inspiration, anything like that?
Yeah, I guess for inspiration, like I'm like any other bride, I just love Pinterest. I love going like on a Pinterest doom scroll. The algorithm is just so good. And it's just so great to get like inspiration, color palettes, like all that kind of stuff. I'm also like a TikTok addict, so scrolling on TikTok is also very helpful. But also like what I always tell to my clients I work with, just like lean into your vendors. Like they're the professionals. Trust them to kind of hit the timelines, hit the deadlines. You're hiring them for their expertise, and they'll keep following you up. Like when I'm working with clients, like I said, I'd be my worst client because I'm always like, hey, give me a drinks menu. I need this, I need that. We need to send to print here. And I'm managing the kind of process. So definitely just leaning into your vendors and like picking wisely. And I guess I'm so lucky that I'm obviously in the wedding industry and I've got lots of friends that work in the wedding industry. So I could kind of use them and their creative help, which was epic. And also my husband, Josh, like he wasn't like a husband that was kind of just showed up on the day and did all that. Like he knew what was happening. He came to all the meetings. He had his input and I wanted it to be as much a celebration of him and us than of just like the bride's kind of ideas. So I think that's really important, is kind of just creating a wedding that's like authentically you. Don't try and like, it's so easy to go on Pinterest, like I said, you know, scroll Pinterest, but it's so easy to go there and like just be like, oh, I want this, or like I like this image, and try recreate that. And I think just like do stuff that represents the two of you as people, and then like everyone's just going to have such a fun time, because people go to weddings all the time. Like people go to like 6 weddings a year, like, and a lot of the time they're all very similar. They've got the same kind of like timeline. There's nothing spontaneous, or there's nothing a little bit different. So, but you also don't want to put too much pressure on yourself to make it different. So I think it's just important to kind of remember who you guys are and what's important to you, and kind of focus on those key things.
So good. Great advice. You've given so much amazing advice already, but yeah, is there anything else you would say to a couple planning their wedding at the moment?
I would say, yeah, like I just said before, make it your own. Don't try copy trends. I guess like trends are just so they ebb and flow all the time. So I think and people always try like make this like timeless wedding. It's like we want a wedding that's timeless, but then this timeless wedding concept is now becoming like a trend, or like it's like a set thing. It's like that's not a timeless wedding now. That feel is now like this generation of wedding. But to make a timeless wedding is to make a wedding that's you, like that's going to be you, because in like 10 years time, it's a reflection of who you were at that moment. Like I think people might I remember I was overthinking. I was like, oh gosh, red and green bridesmaids dresses, that's a bit Christmassy. And like whenever I was talking to people, they were like, oh yeah, that's Christmas colors. But then when I did it, when I saw them all together, I was like, actually, this is so fun. Like it's different, and it's like, and I love these colors. And I think it's just like not overthinking everything. is really important. I think people kind of try and nitpick, and things are going to happen and go wrong on the day, but you just have to, like, it is what it is. It's a day. Like, it's not the end of the world. It's obviously a celebration of your love, and that's like the most important thing, and bringing people that you both love to celebrate that. And I think it's just to remember that.
And what is married life like now? Do you feel like you got any of the post-wedding blues after your wedding?
Yeah, I would say I didn't get any post-wedding blues, just because we're in the wedding industry.
Yeah.
So we're constantly in it.
Living
Like,
and
we've got
breathing
this,
it.
it's like such a little niche, and like such a little fun world to live in. I'm so lucky that it is like an industry that I work in, because it is such like a fun, exciting environment. Like, I'm constantly designing for people's like biggest days, or like a really exciting day for them. So no wedding blues, actually, because we just kind of like went straight back to work and got back into it. Like, I remember talking to lots of my friends, and they were like, "Oh, I had so much free time after the wedding," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like it just like ramped up even more for me," because it was like,
yeah.
I know, it was like my wedding was just like another client's wedding, and I was like, "Okay, done. Like, move on to the next like season. Like, that's the last wedding of the New Zealand wedding season, and now we're on to the next." So no wedding blues. Married life is pretty similar to what it was beforehand. Like, of course, Josh and I work with each other, so we're with each other a lot of the time. He's actually sitting opposite me right now as we're recording this.
Hi, Josh.
Yeah. So no changes here, but it is, I guess you definitely feel like more of a unit. Like, we're actually expecting our first baby, which is very exciting.
So
yes, so we were very, very lucky. It happened very quick. Obviously, we only got married like 5 months ago, and I'm already 5 months pregnant, so you can do the maths. So it's very, very exciting, but it's also just like a very busy time. Obviously, going on maternity leave and kind of trying to manage your own business while going on maternity leave, and having the baby during the beginning of the wedding season. There's just lots of juggling to be made, but it's exciting. It's all exciting problems and obstacles to overcome.
Yay, so cool. Very exciting new season ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been so cool to hear about your wedding and your whole experience as a bride. And yeah, I guess definitely recommend people go back and listen to your other episode if they haven't already.
Yes.
But
yeah,
I'd love for you. I think it must have been the end-ish of 2023 we put that out, which is crazy. But yeah, I'd love it if you could just give us a little update in the world of Brogan Scott Studio, and yeah, what you've kind of been up to since then, I guess.
Yeah, so Brogan Scott Studio is where I'm an artist, and I create bespoke stationery. So I'm very lucky because I get to obviously do the New Zealand and Australian wedding season, but I can also do the Northern Hemisphere. So I get to work all year round, which I'm very blessed with, because I know a lot of wedding vendors is a very seasonal job, because obviously people want to get married in summer, but I feel like we need to rebrand a winter wedding. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
People just don't get married in winter, and I really want to like rebrand it, because it's like everything's so much more affordable. It's like you actually get beautiful days in winter. I feel like in New Zealand, obviously you get some horrible days, but
pretty
you get
light, yeah,
pretty light. No sweaty guests or sweaty brides and grooms. Like, it's like if you're having like a fun reception dinner or an inside wedding, like there's so many beautiful venues that you can use. So I say let's rebrand the winter wedding, but I'm very lucky. Get to work with brides all across the world. Like, overseas is so fun. Obviously, the briefs for getting married in the south of France and Italy and Greece, like beyond. So I'm very blessed. So currently doing bespoke stationery, but I also offer like other things. I do workshops, which I have kind of put on hold. I think I'm going to do a couple more before the baby arrives. But I do have a studio on K Road where we work from, and where I'm recording this, which we've had for the past 2 years, which we share with Floral Centric and Karen Sweeney, and Love James and Michelle Kumi Florals. But that lease is sadly coming up at the end of the year, and I won't be renewing it just because the baby's coming. So I'll be juggling working from home, which will be interesting. But I guess exciting things kind of in the pipeline for Brogan Scott Studios. Me and Josh are actually working on a new business, which we'll be launching at the end of this year. I can't say too much yet, but it is very exciting, and something that I haven't seen in the wedding industry yet, so I'm really excited to kind of launch it and hopefully kind of get my work out to even more brides, which is really, really exciting. But I guess what's coming up is obviously a baby joining the studio. So next year will be less bespoke stationery, I would say, and kind of just focusing on other things. So I won't be taking on as many weddings as I usually do next year, which I'm really excited about. But also it's obviously just kind of juggling working for yourself and being a new mum. So if anyone works for themselves and is a new mum, please contact me, because I feel like I need like a mentor. It's like this new realm that I just don't know. Unfortunately, when you work for yourself, you don't have you obviously have the luxury of getting the government maternity leave, but if you're not working, then you're not going to be locking in clients. You still have to work, a little bit. So it is a balance. So if there's any mums who work for themselves and want to hit me up and give some advice, please do.
Oh, so good. Yeah, we'll tag everything, so slide into the DMs. But
yeah,
I can imagine that's tricky, interesting season to navigate, but so exciting to hear everything coming up. And I can't wait to see what you're planning. So we'll definitely share all about that when you launch. So lovely to chat and catch up today. Is there anything else you wanted to add or that we missed as we wrap up?
I feel like I didn't talk enough about Karen, my amazing photographer. I feel like Karen, I also
So
shoot a studio with her, and she's just beautiful. I remember I saw a wedding that I did stationery from. It was actually one of the first weddings I'd ever done, from like invites to on the day. I think it was 3 years ago. Michelle Kumi was a florist as well. And the photos were just beyond. And I was just like, wow, Karen has this way of like capturing layers in photos and like these beautiful moments, which was just so stunning. And we actually shot most of our wedding on film, which I loved. And we just paid extra film on top of her package, which was so worth it. And she's such a little ray of sunshine. When we were doing the procession, she chucked her sneakers on and she was running around kind of getting photos, and she was like really excited about the wedding itself, which I loved, and made the process really exciting. She was kind of like, oh, I think this is going to be a cool one. And because she was like so into what me and Josh had planned or were planning, she was kind of putting like a lot of effort into like her planning as well. Like we did like a walkthrough of the procession walk so she could scout like the different places that she could get photos. So there was lots of cool epic moments with Karen. 100% recommend working with her. And her photos are just so stunning.
So talented, and just like beautiful presence to have on the day as well. Love all the like film work as well. Such a cool vibe with that, but very talented bunch of you all in that studio.
Yes, and we didn't do a videographer in the end. Josh is actually a trained video editor and videographer, so we actually bought these like little tiny cameras off the internet, Temu, which we shouldn't be buying things from there, but we did. And we kind of just bought 5 of those and handed them out to a couple of people, and they just kind of got some really funny footage, like nothing serious. It was more just kind of people being like, oh, is that a tiny camera? But it was like fun to kind of get the POV of guests. I think that was really epic. So I really recommend doing something like that. It probably will be a year or even further until Josh kind of puts it together and creates a wedding video for us. But we also used the aisle for content, and they did a lot of video work. Like they set up an extra phone and filmed the ceremony, filmed all the speeches, which I think is really important. I totally get why people do videographers. It's so fun to kind of capture like a really editorial or curated kind of view of it. But for Josh and I, that just wasn't really an important aspect of the wedding. It was more the photos, and kind of we could just get some like fun footage ourselves. And the IO did an amazing job at creating the photos and videos. Like some of the photos that they did like were actually like my favorite of the day, and the compositions are so good, and they're just such a lovely group of girls. And I really recommend them as well. Just all my vendors, really. I was very lucky.
Yeah, such a great alternative to have the content creator if you don't necessarily want video.
Yeah.
They're so good, those girls. Amazing. So lovely to chat. Thank you so much for joining us again, and
Thanks for
excited
having
to
me.
keep following along with your work, and we'll share everything so people can go and check it out. And thanks so much.
Perfect. Thanks. We'll have to catch up next year when we've got the new business online.
Definitely. There'll be another chat in order for sure.
Exactly.